In summer of 2005, I went on a 10 days work trip to Bangladesh. The purpose of my trip was to understand the development challenges facing the country at the time and see how effective collaboration and development programs can help and address these challenges. On one of the many trips I took to the field, I went to a village in northern Bangladesh where I was visiting a pilot program. The program was called the Rural Sales Program. This program was being operated by CARE International, a large development organization I was working for at the time, and it was in collaboration with several private sector companies. The purpose of this program was to employ women in these rural areas who never had access to employment opportunities, but at the same time, selling product to consumers in these areas. I remember feeling taken back by the entrepreneurial spirit of that program and the business model of it. I loved how it was far away and removed from the donor-dependent projects and that these women were earning income independently. They were carrying these bags full of things. They had in them food, shoes, makeup, medicine, being supplied by household brand names we all know, such as Unilever and Bata shoes and Danone. When I asked the women I met during that visit, I said, how different is this engagement for you than other donor-driven projects? The response that I got was something I didn't expect. This woman said to me, I used to be given rice, but now I buy my own rice. I remember having my notepad in hand and jotting it down so quickly because I understood she just said something so meaningful. I kept playing it over and over in my head on my way back to Dhaka, several hours in the car, not really capturing the significance of it, till later I realized what she just told me is, through her economics independence, she became emotionally independent, and when she was emotionally independent, she was able to make her own choices of buying her own rice. That is a rare example of true empowerment. I saw so much and learned so much on that trip to Bangladesh. My conversations with these community members and women made me appreciate and understand the work that I do and that it can be useful to the world. Since that trip, I brokered so many partnerships. I worked with wealthy individuals. I worked with family foundations. I worked with Fortune 500 companies, both in the East and the West. Some of them have failed. Some of them were narrow and one-time transactional. But it gave room to these partnerships. When done right, lives can be transformed. These partnerships responded to natural disasters, from floods in Pakistan to earthquake in Haiti to the tsunami. And they helped build back communities better. But there were these partnerships that were so innovative and creative in their approach that they responded to both humanitarian crises and development challenges at the time. They provided jobs for both refugees and host communities. In Jordan here, we are experiencing the largest refugee crisis of our time. We have seen firsthand the impact the crisis has had on our already fragile economy. But most importantly, we've seen the impact it has had on the refugee lives themselves and the vulnerable Jordanian. And looking at solution, Jordan put out an invitation to the global community. It said, we are looking for innovative and creative partnerships that will help us address the challenge. Jordan River Foundation, a leading Jordanian not-for-profit organization, and IKEA responded. IKEA and Jordan River Foundation developed a business model, a business partnership that would allow the employment of women into the IKEA global supply chain. They employed Syrian refugees and Jordanian women into the supply chain. What this partnership did, it took a boutique operation of Jordan River Foundation's home decorative item and enabled us to go to scale by providing home decorative items to IKEA stores globally. What's behind me right now is the range of products that was developed by Jordan River Foundation. our artisans to IKEA globally. They range from beautiful pillow cushions to floor cushions to hand-woven carpets. These products that you see behind me are made by artisans. 50% of them are Syrian refugees, 50% of Jordanians. Today, we employ 150 women, and the vision is to employ 400 women by 2020. You know, just like the sales program I saw in Bangladesh, this partnership got the global community talking. We already have academic institutions writing papers and studies. How do we engage private sector in times of crisis? How can they effectively partner with not-for-profit? You know, one of the artisans working on the IKEA production line with Jordan River Foundation is behind me. Her name is Tahani. Tahani said, handicrafts is not a career or an option for sustained living. For me, it's a lifeline. Tahani is a single mom of 5. She is responsible for their well-being and taking care of them. Tahani tells me at the end of the month, she receives an income, a monthly income with benefits. She tells me for the first time, now that she works on the IKEA production lane, she gets a stable, steady income monthly. And at the end of the month, she and her children, the 5 of them, go to the market and buy candies. You know, the partnership with IKEA and meeting these women and meeting the women in Bangladesh and the sales program with CARE taught me so much. And what they've taught me are what they've taught me is that bold and ambitious partnerships can transform lives. And what I found out to get there, that these partnerships are hard and really rare, and it takes effort to build them. But there are 3 factors and common factors to building successful partnerships. First, I learned that there needs to be a shared purpose. From this start, at stage 0, you need to know what's the goal, what is the objective, why are we here? Our results we need to know why, what is our intended risks, and what do we want? What is our shared interest? And it has to be result-driven. We have to see, is it for the company to own profitability, but while doing good, and for the not-for-profit to have that tangible results on human lives. I remember in one of my conversations with the IKEA CEO, when we launched this collaboration, I said to him, what I love about this partnership with IKEA, and it's so unlike any partnership I've been part of, is that it is in times of massive crisis, you need massive solutions. And you need a bigness of vision. And to me, IKEA and JRF brought that opportunity to the table. It put the platform and the model for that. We have a bigness of vision in times of crisis. Number 2, I learned that the importance of continuous engagement. And when I talk about continuous engagement, I'm talking about ongoing learning, a 2-way street. Learning is not a one-way street. Whether it's taking place in the boardroom or in the field or in the conference, learning has to be a 2-way street. Everybody has a piece of the conversation. Everybody needs to be at the table, whether it's that IKEA CEO or that woman buying her own rice. We all have to have a piece of the conversation. And when you have a conversation, you need to listen. Listening is important. I remember when IKEA wanted to develop these beautiful products, but it wanted to incorporate the personal touch of these women artisans, but at the same time meet a certain price range for their customers. It was our woman, our artisan, who suggested the concept of tassels on these pillowcases. It was fast, effective, but a personal touch. The global designers loved the idea, incorporated, and it's the #1 selling item in that collection globally. Finally, I can't stress this enough, is the power of relationships. People are behind every single engagement. And these conversations and communication, we need to go beyond social media. We need to go beyond emails or quarterly reports. We need to have these face-to-face conversations. And I can't stress enough, this is face-to-face conversation and engagement are the most powerful tool. When you have face-to-face engagement, you become human. And when you're human, you're vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you show and exhibit trust. And that is when you can influence partnerships that are so far-reaching to influence change. My career the past 16 years in this space, in the development and humanitarian space, has been humbling and enriching, to say the least. Today, we face massive problems at a scale we've never seen. And it's not going to take one approach or one vision or one partner, a company, a not-for-profit to address it. We need a diversity in thought and approach, and partnerships bring that to the table. And the Sustainable Development Goals that the global communities came together to rally: ending poverty, no hunger, equal income opportunities, a greener planet. There are 17 goals that the global community wants to achieve by 2030 to give a better world for humanity. Goal number 17 calls for partnerships for the goals. It calls for partnerships between the private, public, and civil society sector. It says that these goals will not be realized without partnerships. We are so well positioned for change. We have so much resources today that will help us to actively and effectively take part of the global efforts to lifting human conditions. So I ask you, what partnerships will you build today to help people buy their own rice? Thank you.